hear me okay?
Now we can, yes.
Yay!
Okay, you're very, very dark.
Yeah, well, you know, my face isn't going to be showing for very long, so
That's true.
how's that?
All right, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll turn off the lights for just a minute or two. This will be fine. All right. Oh, by the way, everyone is already indulged in your cookies because we had
Yay! Wonderful.
we had technical difficulties, and I tried to soothe the roaring beasts by handing out cookies. It turned out to be a godsend.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
Okay, so you're up now. If anybody has trouble hearing, you'll just have to get closer, okay? And
Yeah, I'm sorry. Is my voice faint, or can you hear me all right?
no, we can, but you're not hooked into the room's audio.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You're up. Go for it.
All right. Well, let me go ahead and share my screen here. One moment. All right. Well, Paul, thank you for inviting me to speak to everybody today. This is kind of cool. I haven't really given any presentations on Bitcoin yet, so this is great. I'm really glad that I'm here today. My name is Pua Pyland, better known as Mrs. P, and I'm going to talk to you guys today about women in Bitcoin, or as I like to call it, the network strength that no one is talking about. So let me first tell you a little bit about myself before we get started. I'm broadcasting to you from Hawaii, where I was raised, and I live here with my husband and 4 children. I have a background in clinical information systems as an application analyst, educator, and project manager. My husband and I are huge Bitcoin enthusiasts, and we first invested in Bitcoin back in 2011. We started mining full-time about 1.5 years ago, and because of this, we've been fortunate enough to leave our day jobs in the corporate IT world and focus on our Bitcoin ventures full-time. So a little bit about the Bitcoin-related projects I'm involved in. Bitcoin Hawaii is a group my husband and I formed this year, and we're actively working to create awareness among businesses and the community, as we feel Bitcoin can play a significant role here in Hawaii with not only the tourism industry, but also the huge remittance market that exists. We have a fairly decent number of enthusiasts out here, but currently there are only 2 businesses accepting Bitcoin in Hawaii, so we have a lot of work to do. We hold monthly meetings, we have some educational presentations in the works, as well as our own Hawaiian-style Satoshi Square. So you'll be seeing more information come out about that over the coming months. I'm best known in social media circles as the Bitcoin Wife. I started the first, and I think the only thus far, female-centric site about Bitcoin. It's just a lighthearted blog where I muse about being a Bitcoiner, and I promote Bitcoin-friendly businesses and their products from the perspective of a wife and mother. It has been a really fun pet project for me, and I enjoy being a cheerleader for companies who accept Bitcoin. And some of the Bitcoin businesses I review offer discounts on their products, and if they send me free swag, I pass it along to my readers through fun giveaways. My blog has led me to my newest venture, which will be writing columns for Bitcoin Magazine. My focus will continue to be around products and services for Bitcoin with a strong emphasis on the female vantage point. I'm really excited to partner with them and hopefully bring a different voice to the table. And my very small contribution to the spirit of growing the Bitcoin ecosystem is the Cookie Pounder, which I'll discuss that further at the end of my presentation. And lastly, and to a very much lesser extent, I started to moderate Our Bitcoin Ladies, which is a Bitcoin subreddit for women. It's just a very small space right now, mostly consisting of me talking to myself. But I wanted to acknowledge the existence of it because I felt it was pertinent to our discussion today. Get started. I'm here to talk to you about what no one seems to want to talk about. I started the Bitcoin Wife out of a rant I had over the somewhat disappointing piece about Bitcoin on the Stephen Colbert show back in April, if any of you remember it. The biggest takeaway was basically Bitcoin is cool and all, but you can only buy drugs with it. And that was the same frustrating sentiment that had been permeated in the mainstream media at the time. And I knew this to be false because both my husband and I had bought several things, practical things with Bitcoin. So I thought that I would just start talking about it, and hopefully by being vocal about my personal experiences, I would not only serve a small purpose, but also hopefully connect with other women in Bitcoin. And along the way, I have become keenly aware of two important issues that I think we need to start talking about if we want to see healthy growth in the Bitcoin economy. One issue is that there just aren't enough women visibly in the Bitcoin community. And two, people aren't really spending their Bitcoin and supporting these Bitcoin accepting merchants. And I think if we start at least considering the former, we can elegantly solve the latter. So, how bad is it? Let's take a look at some of the statistics being thrown around, and some of them are anecdotal, some of them are pretty foretelling. It's been said that the ratio of men to women at the Bitcoin conference earlier this year was easily 50 to 1, and that's including booth girls and journalists. I attended with my husband, and I think that's actually a pretty generous estimate. These are some of the photos I took there and posted on my blog, and I really had to scour to find a single woman in these group shots. That little head circled in there, I'm pretty sure it's Teresa Warmke of Free Aid, which is a Bitcoin-only charity organization. She participated in the only all-women panel at Bitcoin 2013. And I think this visual depiction is pretty indicative of what we see online as well. Surveys in the past have shown that 96% of the Bitcoin demographic is male. Women are so rare that we've become a meme of our own non-existence. We're even a red light for scams. Bitcoin talk forums warn newbies not to trust posters blatantly claiming to be a woman because they are probably scammers. And almost all of the articles in the media currently about women in Bitcoin have been around the subreddit Girls Gone Bitcoin. Not that there's anything wrong with taking your clothes off for Bitcoin, but that's a totally different conversation to have. But you're probably asking, why does this even matter? Why does it matter if there are more women involved in using Bitcoin? So I'm going to throw out some more statistics for you. Globally, women consumers control $20 trillion in consumer spending. They make the final decisions for 91% of home purchases, 65% of the new cars, 80% of the healthcare choices, 66% of computers, and in the U.S. specifically, more than 80% of spending is controlled by women. So in regards to buying power, women really hold the lion's share. And here's something else interesting to consider. Dr. Genevieve Bell is an anthropologist who is a researcher at Intel, and she's studied trends in technology extensively. And she says if you want to find out what the future looks like, you should be asking women. Women are the new lead adopters. They use the internet more than men. They are the vast majority owners of all internet-enabled devices, such as readers, healthcare devices, GPS. That whole bundle of technology is mostly owned by women. There's this long history of women as being the tamers of big technologies. For them, it's not this glossy new thing, but something that becomes part of daily life. And historically, that's what one of the things women do. We make things into things that become part of our everyday lives. So statistically, women are this wonderful amalgam of purchasing power and mass adopters of technology. We're like the perfect Bitcoin user. So does this mean we need some sort of marketing ploy to lure us into Bitcoin? Absolutely not. And that's definitely not what I'm here to say. What I'm advocating for is a grassroots approach among us all for each of us to take ownership of the issue and consider how we can change the current state of affairs. I approached other women in the Bitcoin community and asked them to weigh in on this issue, and I loved that what they had to say is directly in line with this call to arms that I'm going to call the Share, Talk, Do initiative. Share, Talk, Do, or the STD, because that is how quickly we can spread the word. So let's get to it. Stephanie Murphy, who is totally the first woman of Bitcoin, she's the podcast host of Let's Talk Bitcoin, she says that if we current Bitcoin users want more women to be involved in Bitcoin, let's tell all of our female friends about it and help them get started using it. There's nothing about Bitcoin that excludes women or doesn't appeal to us. One of the best things about Bitcoin is that it's completely neutral with respect to who can use it. Bitcoin is for everyone. All we have to do is give a little bit of extra attention to sharing Bitcoin with the people who are currently not aware of it, which is most people. And when there are more visible women in the Bitcoin community, other ladies will see that and feel more comfortable joining us too. So this is the share step. Stephanie told me that she got into Bitcoin because she had friends that were really excited about it, and they helped her answer her questions and how to set up a Bitcoin wallet, gave her some coins. And if it weren't for that personal attention and them wanting to share what they were excited about with her, she didn't think that she would have found about Bitcoin on her own, or at least it would have taken her longer to get started. And that's all it really takes. I myself have fallen victim to shying away from trying to explain Bitcoin to my girlfriends or my family because it can be a really daunting task. But sharing your excitement is easy, and that's what makes others excited. I love to tell a story about my kids going on vacation to Disneyland with my parents over this past summer. And while they were there, my parents had mentioned that they were thinking about eating at the Rainforest Cafe that day for lunch, which is over at downtown Disney. So I thought I would buy a gift card to the restaurant through gift with Bitcoin, and I instructed my dad on how to use it, and I was able to treat them and my kids to an impromptu lunch 2,500 miles away within minutes. And that's a pretty amazing feat, and my once skeptical parents were blown away by that gesture, and you know, they've never considered investing before, but now they are. And so I think sharing our excitement and making that our focal point is crucial to getting people interested. This is my daughter, by the way. Okay, Elizabeth Plauché, she's the manager of communications for Bitcoin Magazine and is also the only female candidate for the Bitcoin Foundation individual seat election, which ends today, so if you're a foundation member, you better vote. This is where we talk. And as one of a handful of females currently working to promote Bitcoin, she says that she hopes to foster a greater understanding and embrace of Bitcoin to an extent that crosses geographic and gender-based boundaries. While the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency space is currently dominated by men, there's much need for women to learn more about how valuable Bitcoin is as a currency and an investment opportunity. Now, Elizabeth says that as a member of the Bitcoin Foundation, she's working to pay extra attention to those details, from how the community presents itself at conferences and advertising and messaging. It's key to be sensitive to anything that might deter women from choosing to learn about Bitcoin. And the key thing here is that women listen to other women. We are the word-of-mouth proponents for the internet. So by encouraging others to be vocal and visible about their experiences and their thoughts about Bitcoin as a woman, I think we're going to see our user base grow. And it doesn't, nor should it be this pigeonholed perspective. I personally talk about products I buy with Bitcoin because that was the niche I wanted to fill. I wanted to prove Bitcoin's real-world tangibility and show that there are very normal and useful things out there that you can buy with Bitcoin, and that spending Bitcoin is a good thing. It's great to save, but it's also great to spend as well. Too many of the businesses I speak to say that their Bitcoin sales are slow to non-existent, and I hope that I'm doing my part to change that. This is just a collage of some of the things that we've bought with Bitcoin over the years. But I guess my point is that there needs to be more and different voices out there advocating for all the various aspects of Bitcoin. We need to get women talking. Andrea Castillo, she's a research associate at Mercatus Center, and she says, you don't need to be a Bitcoin developer to make an impact. Are you good at making things? Start a Bitcoin business. Get your girlfriends involved. Good at making videos? Do that. Good at planning events or organizing? Why not offer to do event management for your local Bitcoin startup? The Bitcoin community is rapidly growing and needs these skills more than ever. By finding ways to apply your specific skills towards creating value within the Bitcoin community, you will provide an example for other women interested in Bitcoin and lower the psychological costs of getting involved. So we've got women interested by sharing our knowledge. We've got women talking about what they think. Now it's time to participate. And Andrea's spot on. Bitcoin is an all-encompassing technology and community, and it's not hard to apply your passions to help further the growth of the Bitcoin economy. So this is the do. One of the easiest ways to obtain Bitcoin and to participate is by selling your goods and providing your services. We need to encourage women to do that. And it's because it's one of unique participatory facets of the Bitcoin community. Our collective talents kind of run the gamut, and there's absolutely no barrier to entry if you're offering your skills or your wares or your help. So that's it, the share, talk, do. And this is my do. This is my small part in the ecosystem. I started selling Bitcoin cookie cutters back in July that I made with our little 3D printer at home, just as a fun side project. We were waiting for our ASIC miners to come in the mail, and needed to focus on something else besides twiddling our fingers. So we decided to come up with a Bitcoin cookie cutter. And I wasn't really expecting people to be interested, but surprisingly, demand has quickly exceeded our ability to create enough of them. So I decided to go full production and create a product that I'm hoping will extend beyond the Bitcoin niche. The Cookie Pounder is a beautifully designed cookie stamp that consists of a wood handle base and has a removable food-grade silicone sleeve. You can easily interchange designs. I'm also making a Litecoin stamp and some Hawaiian-themed designs that I'm going to market here in Hawaii. And hopefully if there's enough interest, I'll expand it to a full line of various stamps, crypto and non-crypto alike. And I know cookies seem kind of silly, but you would not believe the response that I've gotten. I already have pre-orders from Germany, Sweden, Australia, especially Israel. The guys over at Bitcoin Israel are asking for their own crypto coin stamps, and they're just really excited about it. And I think it's because people want to spread awareness with something that's tangible and memorable. And cookies are great because they're cheap and easy to make, and they're delicious, and it makes people happy. So they're perfect for meetups and conventions. If you're a storefront accepting Bitcoin, having some cookies at the register is a great way to promote it. Someone has even suggested to me maybe possibly printing a public key on a sticker for the front of the bag and including a private key inside, making it a truly edible Bitcoin. And even if you don't like cookies, because it's made out of silicone, you can use it as a regular stamp on paper and packages with an ink pad. So the stamps are being finalized this week, and we'll start full production. So I fully expect these to be ready in time for the holidays. And I think they'll make the perfect gift for any Bitcoin enthusiast. So that's my shameless plug. Okay, so back to women. Share, talk, do. This is how we foster diversity in the community. And I think we'll see a parallel growth within our user base and our supporting businesses. I'm really excited to share that we have women who are already doing their part. One big success has been the formation of a Women in Bitcoin group in San Francisco. They just had their first meeting last Wednesday, and it was a huge success. They had representatives from Bitcoin companies as well as some newcomers, and their mission is really focusing on building that awareness, the partnerships and relationships, providing education, and promoting business development for women in the Bitcoin space. And this is really where the rubber meets the road. Growing the female user base in Bitcoin and encouraging women to speak up about their experiences and their thoughts is going to bring different perspectives and cultivate the new ideas that the Bitcoin economy can benefit from. Like Genevieve Bell said, women are the tamers of big technologies, and I think we're ready for that paradigm shift in Bitcoin. So let's start talking. That is my talk. I just kind of wanted to get through it so I know that there's other people waiting. But thank you for listening to me. You can contact me through thebitcoinwife.com. If you're interested in the cookie stamps, you can go to thecookiepounder.com. And if you're ever in Hawaii, I encourage you to contact us and come hang out with us and have a beer and talk about Bitcoin. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys if anyone has any questions or comments for me.
How many women do you think are in this group today?
I have no idea.
What do we have? One. We have five. 5 out of how many? 5 out of 20.
Oh, those are amazing odds. That's awesome. Good job, Austin.
It's all Stephen Wilkinson's fault.
I've got a question here. I don't know if you can hear me. What is your feeling about the reaction from women about Bitcoin? Just kind of first reactions. I mean, obviously we know from, as you say, there are a lot of men involved with Bitcoin.
You know, the interesting thing, when I first started my website, I think a lot of women were put off by it. because I think they felt that, being kind of one of the earlier voices in Bitcoin, I think they wanted to see a collective representation of all the women involved, and really you just can't do that. There's so many different reasons why people want to get involved in Bitcoin, and I certainly wasn't trying to be everyone's cup of tea. I just wanted to offer my views and my perspectives. So far, I've actually had more male supporters of the website than women. And I think that Bitcoin really parallels the tech space, in that there's just not a lot of women around, and the women that are around, when I worked in corporate IT, like, we just kind of felt like we didn't want to have to acknowledge that we were women, and that it didn't matter. And I think that we've kind of grown beyond that in the Bitcoin space. It does matter. It does matter what our feelings and our perspectives are. And so far, like I said, the men have been a little bit more supportive, but I just haven't connected with enough women to really make a good judgment on how they feel.
But I guess you understand the technological side. You mentioned that you were coming from a sort of tech background. Do you ever get drawn into those conversations? Because I mean, that's kind of quite a common thing when you start talking to people about it. You end up having to explain a little bit about the
Definitely
or something like that. And
yeah.
is that what happens when you talk to other women? I'm just speculating here because you might have a better handle on how to explain it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely not necessarily dumb it down, but I think with anybody, not just women, but anyone learning about Bitcoin for the first time, you really have to find ways to metaphorically explain it. How the public ledger works, and what a decentralized currency even means, and you kind of almost get into this philosophical discussion about what the money in your pocket actually does and represents now, because most people don't even know that. Most people don't really even consider, how they value things, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about Bitcoin, and maybe it sounds kind of hyperbolic, but I feel like it's made me a better person, because I'm starting to think about, it's not about applying a certain price tag on things. It's looking at value. Each fraction of a Bitcoin has a potential value that we're looking further into the future than we ever have before. And by having that conversation of, what money really means and what value really means to you, kind of sets the stage for explaining why Bitcoin is such an important movement. And I honestly try not to talk about the technical aspects, because we've tried to do that over the years and people just gloss over, and I'd rather try to hold their attention with the exciting things about it, rather than get into the humdrum of explaining how SHA-256 works, and I just try to stay away from that unless they're more interested. But I have not spoken to any women who want to really get into the nitty-gritty at this point.
Well, very cool, Miss P.